Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all those joining us for this discussion today. And a special welcome to all those joining us either very early during their morning or very late at night. We appreciate your participation also. I would like to also welcome all those who are joining us in parallel on YouTube and on Facebook. Once again, to join us in the Zoom platform, just visit meetings.diplomacy.edu, where you will find the links to the Zoom platform. And here we are in the main hall. So welcome to the discussion. The aim of today's event is to discuss how to navigate Geneva's rich digital policy landscape. We will start our 2-hour event with opening remarks by our special guests, followed by breakout sessions to then discuss the needs of the different stakeholders groups. We will then resume after a break with a panel, followed by another breakout session, and then a final wrap-up. So to navigate, to use the same word as the theme of today's event, to navigate between the main hall, which is the one here, and the breakout rooms, just follow the links, which will be posted in the chat by one of my colleagues. This is a 2-hour event, so it's a relatively short event. So I will immediately give the floor and welcome actually Mr. Olivier Hune, Head Global Affairs Multilateral Division at the Mission of Switzerland to the UN in Geneva, Mr. Olivier Couteau, Delegate International Geneva at the Republic of Geneva, and Professor Jovan Kurbalia, Executive Director of Diplo and Head of the Geneva Internet Platform. So Olivier and Jovan, thank you for joining us. Please, the floor is yours, Olivier.
Thank you very much, Stephanie and colleagues. It's a great pleasure to be here on behalf of the Federal Department of Foreign Affairs. The topic that we were giving for these short introductory remarks was a vibrant international Geneva. Now, that is not a difficult thing to speak about. Maybe the only difficulty I had preparing for today was to figure out when exactly 11 o'clock UTC was. And helpfully, I went to your website and there was this indication of what exactly that time corresponds to in different locations, such as Geneva, but also New York, Moscow, or Beijing. And that then points at just how inclusive we can be in such a setting, like in a video conference here from Geneva. And that is one of the 3 points I would like to make about the vibrancy of International Geneva. It is its inclusivity. So in the current circumstances, with a quantum leap into our own video conferencing capacities and hybrid meetings, International Geneva is even more closely connected to other locations, such as New York, capitals, field locations, and meetings often attract quite significantly more participants than they would otherwise have had, and so we have more different perspectives in those meetings. But Geneva has always been inclusive, I would like to say. For example, almost all member states are represented here, and regularly new permanent missions open. The international organizations do an incredible job at the normative, at the policy and operational level, whether in times of COVID-19 or before, as do civil society organizations. And we see how member states continue to choose Geneva to set up new entities, for example, treaty secretariats or international NGOs, or also the private sector, if I think of the Swiss Digital Initiative or the Cyber Peace Institute. So we see that there is a lot of inclusivity here in terms of the types of voices. It is real multi-stakeholder diplomacy that is taking place here every day. And that is not a goal in itself. We believe that this diversity, this inclusivity increases the sustainability of the solutions that are developed here. So I think that is the first point, inclusivity. And the second point is the connectedness between actors here in Geneva. You not only have amazing expertise in a whole range of fields, but these different actors are increasingly working together. Take the World Health Organization that is reaching out to other actors working on environmental matters, on humanitarian matters, digital health, and so on. And we've seen in the last few years much more of this silo breaking really taking place. Even within missions, by the way, you see a tendency that permanent missions in Geneva start to designate one staff member to really work on digital matters all across the board. And so that is also reorganization. So the future of work is not just how we work, but also how we organize ourselves. And another example, of course, about connectivity is the UN Secretary General's high-level panel on digital cooperation, which promoted this idea of digital cooperation. And recently, as all of you know, the roadmap was published on the implementation of these recommendations, and we believe that Geneva has a lot to offer. It is a mindset that exists here, and it's a lived reality of cooperation and cross-cutting work. So this is cooperation. This makes it also very, very livid and very vibrant. My third and last point after these two is that a vibrant international Geneva is also a place where people like to meet physically. We have, I think, seen in the past month just how much is possible virtually, how efficient and effective we can be. And we believe that this will profoundly transform quite a number of processes that we have here. At the same time, International Geneva started as the birthplace of the Red Cross and as a city of peace. And it is rather hard to make peace or to deliver humanitarian assistance exclusively remotely. So you need to find a balance between this, in a way, new tool that we've discovered and others that will remain very essential. So a walk in the park, a conversation in the corridor remain essential. And here Geneva also has a unique added value and vibrancy because of its short physical and mental distances between a wide range of experts. People like to meet, and they do meet in this small and dense neighborhood that we're in. And so it's probably not a coincidence that Geneva is also the first UN site worldwide that has resumed physical meetings with the respect of all precautionary measures, of course, with the Human Rights Council last week and the conference on disarmament this week. So these would be three examples of why we think Geneva is vibrant and why that is an extraordinary terrain also for digital governance issues. International Geneva is in a way a laboratory of future global governance, and we are thrilled about today's event to advance and sharpen our thinking on what that concretely means. We very much look forward to this afternoon, and thanks again, Stephanie, and the whole team for making this happen. Over to you.
Thank you, Olivier, for the excellent introduction. And you mentioned the walk in the park, so I will add the beautiful parks in Geneva. Olivier, the floor is yours, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. It's always a pleasure to be among you at the Geneva Internet Platform. Difficult to speak after Oliver. You know that you took a risk in inviting two representatives of the host authorities with almost the same name, by the way. But still, what I wanted to say is that it's true that the host authorities are always proud to remind that they host the largest global cooperation center in the world, with 38 international organizations covering pretty much every field, with 400 NGOs working with them, with states from almost all countries in the world with a permanent mission here in Geneva. It's indeed probably true that this is the largest international cooperation center. This makes a rather impressive community of more than 32,000 people. And it is growing. It is growing in the international organizations. The staff increases 1 or 2% every year. In the NGOs, it's 5 to 6% every year. We have about 33 new NGOs every year as well. So the size of International Geneva is perhaps its main asset. It makes of Geneva the place to be when you are in the international cooperation business. This is very nice to say, but the real issue is, what do we do with that? How do we make sure that International Geneva's volume, richness, variety are a real advantage for those working for it, and above all, for those it serves? So we definitely need a map to navigate this complex environment, to know who is who and who does what. And at the general level, sorry for this self-promotion moment, I will recommend the International Geneva website, where you can find the most comprehensive who's who of International Geneva and the most comprehensive calendar of events. But when it comes to digital activities, I think that the Geneva Internet Platform has been very helpful during the last few years in guiding us through the numerous Geneva-based actors involved in internet issues. And in my view, the most eloquent way it does it is when Jovan takes you at the top floor of the WMO and explain you what is going on in each building that we can see from there. But now, if I can give an advice, and I will conclude with that, I think that mappings have to be as practical and useful as possible for those who need them in the real world. Just give you 3 examples. Where an army officer from Lima, Peru, concerned by the protection of sensitive data in his country, can find useful information for him about cybersecurity. Where a mayor from Senegal, willing to improve internet access in remote parts of its municipality, can obtain assistance. How an entrepreneur from Sweden launching a new e-commerce can find applicable international regulations. I think that these are some of the practical questions that those International Geneva is meant to support may ask. And I hope, and maybe I dream, that a good mapping could answer these questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Olivier, for that intervention and the excellent questions. And we hope that during the discussion today, we will provide concrete answers to those examples that you provide. I'll now give the floor to Jovan. Jovan, the floor is yours, and thank you.
I guess good afternoon for predominant audience today. For change, there is no anymore Olivier. I'm Jovan, and it's great to follow up on the previous 2 interventions. What we have been hearing is the metaphor of journey, roadmap, journey mapping. There are a lot of geographical elements, and today, unfortunately, we cannot run the tour on the attic of WMO building, which is behind me, which is basically the place where the Geneva Internet Platform is hosted. But at the end of the month, we'll have the first session, the first briefing in the park, in the Jardin Botanique, just opposite our building. Therefore, we'll be returning to the literally physical, almost ancient Athens-style meetings and moving the pendulum from this type of meetings towards a real walk through the park and discussion on the, in this case, roadmap. Therefore, we will be receiving invitations for that event. Now we'll have again 2 hours journey, slightly less now, 1 hour 40 minutes, where we try to pack a practical approach to the mapping. Because when you come to Geneva, depending who you are, whether you work for international organization or mission, or you are in media, or you're in academia, you start finding different entry points. And what we've been discovering in GAP's work since our first mapping is that there is a lot of confusion. There are thousands of the digital mechanisms, not only in Geneva, quite a few are based in Geneva. And sometimes we are not aware that 5G is discussed in quite a few organizations around us, for example, or data, or the other issues. Therefore, there is a huge task to provide if I can use the metaphor, phone number, which the colonel from Lima, what Olivier mentioned, or mayor from, I forgot the city, can pick up on the phone, not necessarily finding solution at that phone number, but at least getting entry point into the system. Because most, and this is the second challenge, most digital issues are cross-cutting and multidisciplinary. We are seeing it in discussion on data, in the road to burn context, and this is the major challenge. But the the two challenges: what is the entry point into overall discussion in Geneva and beyond? And second point, how to grasp the multidisciplinarity. And we will be covering these two issues along the other issues during our discussion today. Over to you.
Thanks, Jovan, for that introduction. And in fact, with the two key challenges that you outlined, it also serves as a good introduction for the next part of our event. So thank you all for your opening remarks, and we will now continue our discussions in the breakout rooms, where we will be diving a little bit deeper into the needs of the different communities. So what are the needs of diplomats, what are the needs of international organizations, of journalists, and of the private sector and civil society. In other words, what do we need in order to help us understand this rich landscape? For instance, who does what in which digital policy area? After the breakout sessions, we will pause for a break, but don't worry, the moderators in each room will share the housekeeping rules and how to get here and there. So to join the breakout rooms now, all you need to do is follow the links which have just been pasted in the chat session. And for those following us on YouTube or on Facebook, you can visit meetings.diplomacy.edu, where you will also find the links to the 4 breakout sessions. So see you back in this main hall at 2 p.m. Geneva time. That is in roughly 40 minutes. Thank you.